Okay, we are recording. Welcome to the June 23rd version of the NARI LunchBox Hour series. Today we're going to be talking about home tours, and I am Margot Ashmore from the Minneapolis and St. Paul home tour, and Lori Miller is here from the Midwest Homes luxury home tour. So because her tour is practically full, there's still apparently some options available, and my recruiting hasn't started for 2022 for all practical purposes. I'm still, of course, taking phone calls and whatnot, but our big push is not yet underway. We thought it would be good to help people think about the idea of doing a tour if you've never done a tour before, or if you've been on a tour and maybe not felt that it went the way that you'd like to. Sort of questions to think about what all is involved. So Lori, do you want to say anything before I launch into my presentation?
Nope. I will just say hello to everyone on board. Happy to answer any questions you may have. We are for the Midwest Home Luxury Home Tour. We are at capacity for 2021. However, if you have a project that you would like to piggyback the efforts of the luxury home tour, I can make it happen virtually, and we've had a lot of success with that option. So as you hear about the tour and you're interested, if you, I can apply all of this virtually. So keep that in mind as we're talking.
Cool. So maybe the first thing to consider in participating in a tour is there a willing customer who would let their house be used? And in cases like the Minneapolis St. Paul home tour, where we like to focus on the home tour, the homeowner themselves, will they want to participate in talking with consumers? And if they're willing to be talking with consumers, do you want them to be? Would they be good spokespeople for your brand if interviewed by the media, which sometimes happens prior to a tour, or of course by consumers as they come through? And sometimes there will be projects that may not quite be the company's niche or what you're thinking of promoting to, but you might want to take a step back and say, well, do I really need to focus on the type of project and to try to get more projects of that type? Or will the personality and work style of the company be reflected in the presentation enough that you would see it be worthwhile to have a location on the tour? Often with the Minneapolis St. Paul home tour, I find that contractors do put people out there who are just so grateful that they've done their goofy little job, that the company has done their goofy little job. I remember my mother, who was in interior decorating, she would take the small jobs, and they would eventually lead to referral trees of people who had a lot more money or, were a lot easier to work with. So, that's my advice there, is to not be too picky and to figure out how you're going to morph the story into what you want to tell. Also to consider, and this is one of those things where I don't really want to hear about this part. What, if any, incentives am I going to give the meaning, if the contractor, in this case, I'm in the voice of the contractor, what incentives will I give them, such as upgrades during construction or accelerated completion in order to be ready? I've had a lot of people as a tour coordinator who have said to me, yeah, I'll do it because I want to make sure they get done on time. I have other parties to do, or I'm going to be going out of town, or whatever. In some cases, the project is a little older than newly done, and it might need some touch up or repainting. Are you going to offer them a hotel stay? take care of child sitting, pet sitting, cleaning services before or after, and thinking about staging as well. For our tour, we really don't want people to overly stage their homes because it's real homes, real people, real ideas. So then also thinking, what do you expect of the homeowner and how to communicate that to them? You know, they are doing you a favor, but you're all going to be appearing as a team, or you know, you're going to be working on their behalf. And so it's good to know what the expectations are. You might want to make sure that they are reassured that there will be support before and during the tour, especially if the tour is on multiple days. Some contractors have filled out forms for the people that are on the tour. Other times the homeowner would rather do it, in my experience. There's the disruption of getting photos taken. You know, we send a photographer out and he takes just maybe 45 minutes, but it's amazing. Some people will clean the entire house in time for the photographer, and others, he'll be moving coffee mugs and, stowing things under couches and stuff like that in order to get a shot that is credible. So, again, you as the contractor, you want to be clear with your homeowners what you're going to do to support them in that, or if you're going to support them in that. In many cases, the homeowner wants to do it themselves. Of course, with COVID, we have to introduce the sanitizing protocols and extra attention to safety and security concerns. With all the things that have been going on in the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, there may be elevated concern about things like police shootings, riot aftermath and things like that. So that's kind of new territory for us. Homeowners will be asking about, especially if they're not expected to be there, as communicating with the public, are they going to be able to use their house? Are the kids going to be able to use their bedrooms? Are those going to be off limits? Where are they going to store the stuff that comes out of the rooms that need to be staged? Coming and going of their cars. Speaking of staging, do you stage the home? Do you depersonalize it? We kind of like seeing people's personal pictures and such, but there could be concerns about security or their children and things like that. So that needs to be dealt with. Then there is staffing. What constitutes adequate staffing for customer experience, home security? We recommend one person per floor or per area of sightline. And each tour has their own ideas about greeting and passports and rules of the tour. I think I'm going to take a breath of air at this point. And Lori, do you have anything to add to what I just put out there?
Yeah, so Margot and I have always had fun talking about our tours because they're different. I'm seeing a lot of differences. So we bring on more of the luxury, higher price point home, both new construction and remodeled projects. And so my newly constructed homes typically are 1.5 million and above. And then our remodeled projects are, I would say, 200,000 and above. And we have a little wiggle room on both because sometimes there's some unique situations, $1 million empty nester bungalow overlooking a bluff of beauty and high, we actually, there is some wiggle room. That's not set in stone. And we don't want the homeowners there. We only want representation of the builder. And then the builder determines how much to staff, and very often we'll take vendors to help out. But they want to be the representative of their project. And then we staff it in terms of ticket takers, the event staffing we handle, all the selling of tickets and so on and so forth. Let's see. So, you know, we like staging. We don't necessarily want it personalized. And these are kind of the differences of our tour. And that's why our tours do well together, because we offer lots of options for whatever you're building. So let's see. Currently offline, I won't get into it right now. This is our in-person tour. If anyone has an interest and they have a showcase project they want to utilize virtually, you know, I'll put my contact information. Let's see, maybe I'll put it in chat. Feel free to reach out. We can talk virtually about virtual tours. Hugely popular. That includes like a VR, a virtual tour throughout the entire home. On our website, on our social channels for the next year. Spacecrafting shoots it. It's really reasonably priced and a huge exposure and lots of different options. So if anyone has a showcase piece and you can't fit it neatly into either one of our tours, just talk to me and we can work out a virtual tour, and it's a cool deal. Let's see. So right now, our current tour is 3 weekends in August. This year it starts July 30th, but ends August 1st. We've transitioned to the August timeframe and found it to be very successful. Builders have an opportunity to landscape, more warm months to get things done. So it's been really successful, and it's time enough away from the start of school, so homeowners can get back into their house and get on with school and their kids and so on. You know, so let's see. I think I've said a lot right now.
Yeah, should I go to your second or
What's
your
that?
next page? Should I go to your next page or?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
So a standard remodeler package for me is $54.95, and that's huge mat exposure. It's this all is in person, digitally, in print. You get tons of exposure. You're working with our editors. They will profile you. They'll profile the home. They will take this content and our editorial team will look it over and reach out to you if they want further information about featuring it in the publication. We have a whole marketing department that will reach out to the TV and radio stations to promote the tour. And then hopefully, like Margot has the opportunity, sometimes they interview you personally as organically as the TV and radio stations want content. So they'll pick up on the event and promote it. We also have a separate media buy where we promote and buy TV and radio spots to promote it. So, you know, as you can see, there's magazine exposure. You have a special rate advertising if you wanted to add on, digital media. And then, you know, of course, you get tickets, multiple tickets to the event to give to some of your best clients, family, friends. And then I don't see this changing, but Andersen Windows is a co-presenting sponsor every year of the Luxury Home Tour. And they have a really wonderful cooperative program that we've worked out. If you have a newly constructed home that you bring on tour, they will pay $3,000 towards your entry fee. If you want to advertise in the tour program, they will pay $1,000 towards any ad, and that's any size ad. So you could practically get one for free if that was your desire in the program. And we've had a lot of people take advantage of that, but a couple of people take advantage of just a small size ad, and they have to co-brand with Andersen. But so there's a really nice Andersen package as in options, and I don't see that changing for 2022. So there, I've said a lot of things.
Thank you.
It's exciting. Tour time is exciting, and any questions, you know, feel free to take it offline, and happy to have a conversation with you.
I would also entertain questions at this point. I just sort of arbitrarily said, okay, I've talked enough for a while. Does anyone who's on the on the call have a question at this point of either of us.
Yeah. And I'll keep talking until someone writes something or pipes up. Just feel free to interrupt.
Okay.
But I would say like, so when I start talking or creating my tour, I start right after this tour. So I would say in theory, September through about now, September through of 2021 through what month is it? June of 2022. So that's kind of my window to bring on projects. The sooner you bring them on, the more marketing opportunity you have. So like if Margot brings on a great project early on and a TV station calls her and says, hey, do you have we're looking for some promotion. She'll go right to you because you are signed on. So anytime you can sign on with a project sooner than later, absolutely do it. Anytime there's an opportunity, both Margot and I will reach out to that builder because they're already signed on. So you kind of maximize your exposure. Yeah. That's one thing I would say. Do it early, do it often. Know your options. The Margot's team has more time to work with you. My team has more time to work with you. It's such a much smoother process when you sign on early. And I mean, really, isn't that, wouldn't you say, Margot?
Yeah, I was going to say, we kind of ground to a halt because of COVID, the timing of the tour being, this is something I might not have mentioned before, the 2022 tour will be April 30th through May 1st. So in general, we really ramp up in January, and
yeah,
yet, we don't have all of our sales materials and that kind of thing developed just yet, but the idea of getting a project expressing interest is definitely all year round. I mean, when there was no question that there would be anything like COVID that would get in the way, I would go to neighborhood parties, I would go to NARI events, all of this before being a NARI member, and constantly keeping eyes peeled for new things and interesting things that would make interesting stories.
So I can take your question, Chelsea and Kelly Jo. We are a lighting showroom. What's a way we could leverage opportunities like this? Margot, I'll let you answer separately, but in terms of the luxury home tour, we have some really awesome sponsorships. And I am, I didn't know if you were a builder or a vendor. I currently am showing up sponsorships, so that has not halted. We can still add on sponsorships, and there's huge value, and there's some at all price points. It's something for everyone. So you say, well, why would I sponsor the tour if I'm not necessarily presenting my product in the home? We have a number of sponsors as a sponsor and not in the home for several reasons. One, you are getting in front of the exact audience you want to be in front of. There's no better spot with Margot's tour, with my tour. You are presenting yourself in front of people who are home-centric buyers. They're interested. So always entertain sponsorships for sure. Those are, so in turn, I'll just speak to what I offer. As a sponsor, you get representation in the Midwest Home magazine. Depending on what level is, are the amount of deliverables, but everyone gets representation in the magazine. Everyone gets promoted on the website and digitally, hyperlinked to your site on the tour website. Every sponsor gets to put marketing materials in every single home on the tour for the entire month of the tour. And I have a number of people, that alone is very appealing. And then, but conversely, I have a number of sponsors who want to get in front of the builders and work with the builders. And so I say there's no better way to have skin in the game. Once you're a sponsor, every builder, architect, designer in town's looking at who's on tour. Fridays are a great opportunity to go out and meet all the builders. That's when the builders are there, typically hosting, representing the tour. So again, it's huge exposure. I've had some sponsors who sponsor, and now they're starting to work with the builders, and they naturally sponsor every year. They're more B2B than they are B2C. So a sponsorship of the luxury home tour provides both. So, I've said a lot, but feel free to, if you have an interest in hearing more, there's some really, really great levels. And sponsorship, yes, I'm currently shoring up sponsorship.
Yeah. So what I would add to that is that typically we have been in that category of, it's the product, it's in the home. There was a time when we had tried to have all of the sponsor materials at all of the homes, and some of the contractors wouldn't put their competitors' material out. And it's like, so, it's, I also have had some experience with the Homes by Architects tour that the AIA puts together, and they have rules about who can be featured and who cannot. They have to pay if they are going to be in even the home that they're just representing. So that, I would say, is something in flux for us, but we would love to hear, kind of like, what is your price point? What do you see as the value add for being in the Minneapolis-St. Paul home tour? So that's going to be developed over the next few months, I'm sure. Great. Actually, that kind of leads me to this part of my presentation. So I'm just going to bop around here. Now that you've decided to participate, do I want to maximize my reach through pre-publicity on social media? We do social media, but we find that the organic stuff that happens from the people who are participating, whether they're businesses or residents. Back when I started working with tours 15 years ago, websites were just getting to be a thing, and residents would actually build a website for their house. And that was such a cool thing, so we were kind of evolving from totally print to, more digital. That is one thing that we, this is how we promote our tour, the Minneapolis-St. Paul home tour. It's through the guide, and that guide is mailed to 15,000 people who have participated in the tour in past years. Participants meaning, visitors to the tour. So when you're planning your staffing of the tour and your various responsibilities leading up to the tour, you want to take into consideration, can I maximize opportunities by making sure I meet the deadlines, making sure I allocate enough to pay for advertising. Like, I'm a community newspaper publisher, and there are still a number of us out there, whether they're for-profit businesses or nonprofit businesses. And in the Minneapolis neighborhoods and the St. Paul neighborhoods, there are opportunities to promote to kind of a neighborhood area of influence that you might want to work in. For example, the St. Anthony Park area, there's a lot of people that want to work there. So also standing out as a helper of the tour, perhaps you can offer the home for a special pre-tour or post-tour party, or private tours, fundraising tours. Do you want to upgrade your sponsorship from the basic participation package to something like Lori mentioned, where you are in front of everybody, including the builders and remodelers? And then the ultimate value add, how does participating in tours help my business to attract good help? If you look like you're a fun place to work, you're competing for a rare number of potential employees or vendors. And how does participating in tours help the reputation of the industry? Are there things that we can do to help the industry attract and educate young people? And how do I want to work these messages into how we present the home? You got a lot of real estate there that you can put before and after pictures and all that kind of thing. Why not also promote some of the values of NARI and the things that you believe in? With Minneapolis-St. Paul Home Tour, we encourage homeowners to promote what's going on in their neighborhoods and causes that they support. We love preservation, environment, water management, those types of issues. And so, that's one of the fun things about the tour is being able to, be a good corporate citizen. Let me just finish some of the things that, after we were talking about what the staffing needs are. I have run into this, that people will ask me, does the tour provide staffing? I know a lot of them do. We don't happen to at this point. There was a point when we did offer the greeting function, and we might again, especially now with the whole thing about social distancing, and that'll also be kind of a decision on the fly. As Lori mentioned, a lot of the staffing that is done on her tour and really on our tour as well is having actual sales people available for conversations with prospects. We pride ourselves on being not a high pressure sort of thing. Everybody is there to have fun and have conversations. You don't want to be, strong arming, setting appointments, having everybody sign in. We tell our visitors that that we don't sell our mailing lists. If you want to have people sign in, you can. We have a passport procedure, but a lot of the folks that visit Minneapolis-St. Paul Home Tour are on a multi-year process to figure out who they want to work with, and they don't want to be hounded by solicitations after the tour. But certainly, people to hand out brochures, business cards, and if someone does want to set an appointment, you certainly don't want to tell them you can't. So. Promotion during the tour, these are all things to think about. You have time to get ready your written materials. Are you going to have a QR code? Are you going to be running a video either about the project itself or other projects that you've done? Do you want photo boards? Do you want to be giving away swag, or what do they call it, trinkets and trash? As an environmentalist, I'm going, oh, please no trash. Make it really good trinkets if you're going to pass those out. How do you want to collect leads for them to receive your newsletter or be added to email lists, social media links? My advice is to totally make it optional and low key. Don't require it. People will appreciate that. You'll want to kind of factor in a few pre-meetings for coaching of new people to your staff, maybe who have not participated in tours or participated in tours with you before, and the homeowners, so that everybody's on the same page. If you want to script any conversation, you'll want to do that. What are your talking points? And make sure that everybody that's working with you knows what your tour materials are looking like and what your company materials are. And then turning to the exterior, anything needed to make the home more inviting. Where do you want to place tour signage, and who is responsible for that? Some tours take care of it all. We do take care of it all. We just give the homeowner the sign that they will ultimately put out when they are ready to receive visitors. Otherwise, we want them to put the signage away so that they don't get people knocking on their door when they're not open. And what are the rules and opportunities for placing company signage? I would guess that some tours want to make sure that the signage for the tour itself is the most prominent, and others really wouldn't care. I will always take advice as to where the sign should be put. I put them at the major intersections, and I try to coordinate them with the driving directions or the implied driving directions and numbering that's in the guide. But beyond that, oftentimes the builder knows much better, what's going to be seen. And then reaching out to neighbors to thank them for putting up with that extra parking and traffic, and figuring out, like the luxury tour has done a lot of tour bus parking if individual parking isn't really feasible. Anything to add, Lori?
These are all great details. My tour is a little different for a number of them, but I won't go over specific details. I did want to, if anyone wants to talk with me offline about marketing before, during, and after an event, that's while I create the tour with all the builders and the sponsors. That's actually my sweet spot. That's where I love. So we provide a toolkit, that a digital toolkit where you can promote it on your social channels. But marketing before, during, and after is so important. And I think people go on tour and then they don't do anything with the information they have post tour. And that is a big no-no. Like that's where your success comes from a tour largely.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the conversations that you have and the people you meet, but what you do with that information is really key. So
that's why starting early and pacing yourself and thinking of all these types of things, you don't just, you're not like the salmon, go upstream, spawn, die.
No,
you don't want to die.
If you are interested in a tour, I'm literally happy to hold your hand through it. You're not alone. Like when you work with me, I literally will make your life as easy as humanly possible. So there. You too, I'm sure, Margot. I mean, you want success for everyone you work with.
Yeah. I was just going to ask Bruce if he had any comment about the way that we worked together on the tour that we did in 2019.
It went well. It's very successful for us. Very worthwhile.
And you guys did that thing of, really thinking about ahead of time, how you were going to maximize the exposure and the leads. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super. Okay, we are at 20 minutes to 1, and so we have plenty of time for questions, comments.
I put my contact information in the chat if anyone wants to call or email to chat. And no pressure. I'll just talk with you further, answer any questions you may have.
Great. And I will do the same. So can I ask where people are in terms of their thinking about being on tours, or have you had experience with tours in the long ago past?
Well, it sounds like Chelsea and Kelly Jo are a lighting company showroom, so they might not have been on tour. And Bruce was on your tour. And
I know Trisha's been thinking about it, and Trisha has appeared at a number of shows.
She's not on anymore. She might have had to bop off at
okay.
a certain time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out the difference between participating in a tour and participating in a show. A tour, you are in the atmosphere of the project that you did. So I don't know, Lori, would you think of it as being harder or easier to be on a tour versus being in a home show?
Hi, Margot. I'm here. That's a really
oh, you are. Hi, Trisha.
Yeah. Hi, Lori. Yep. That's interesting distinction. I'm listening.
I think a tour is more like a marathon and a show is more like a sprint. And it's like your preference, right? I mean, that's, some people love one or the other, but that's what I would equate it to. The tour is day after day. Whereas a show might just be 1 or 2 quick condensed days.
Mm-hmm.
Less conversation, more conversation, faster paced, less time spent with the potential consumer. Margot, would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I think in terms of like your shows or your tours, I mean, are they're a whole month long. There are several weekends.
Yeah.
This year, are you requiring people to do every weekend, or I know the first year of COVID, it was whatever you want to do, we'll accommodate.
Yep. And it ended up being pretty net regular, but newly constructed homes will be on all 3 weekends. The remodeled projects get to choose 1, 2, or 3 of the weekends and which weekend they want.
Mhm. Yeah. So with Minneapolis St. Paul Home Tour, it is just one weekend. It's a Saturday, 7 hours, and then Sunday, 4 hours, which go by really quickly. And we tend to find that there's maybe a same amount of visitors in the 2 days, but Saturday is more spread out. Sunday is more consistent, let's say.
Mhm.
But it seems like never a dull moment. So yeah, you are on for more hours than you would be, or about the same hours, I guess. The neighborhood level shows would be maybe one day, like a 10 to 3 or 10 to 5, whereas so that we'd be a little bit longer than that, but we would not be as long as the luxury exposure. And that's because we're in occupied homes.
Right.
We're we're inconveniencing the homeowner. Total attendance. People often ask about total attendance at either type of event, and we've seen everything from 200 or 300 up to 1,200 at our homes, with 500 or 700 or 900 being manageable for most people. And of course, many people spread out throughout the home who could be having these conversations. Whereas
Right.
at a booth, maybe you got people taking a shift for 2 or 3 hours and walking around talking to the other vendors, stuff like that. I know I have a hard time sitting still. I like to work the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chelsea and Kelly Jo, I am actually going to see your work. I work with Jeremy and Steve and Eric, and plan on visiting the tour this weekend. I haven't made it to those houses yet, but I'm excited to see your lighting. I'll look for it in particular. But yeah, if you want to call me and talk about a sponsorship, or just even for next year, we should chat.
I'll bring your page up again here, Lori.
Yeah.
Would you rather have the other page up, or are there 3 pages here?
No, there's just 2. No, I think I've said everything, and I mean, unless anyone has specific questions, like I said, for 2022, I'll start shoring up projects in. I mean, we could shore them up now, but I don't think about it until after this tour is finished. So typically September. I'll start showing up 2022. Even sponsors can be brought on that early. And if you have an interest, you'll maximize your exposure. So yeah, feel free to just call me and or email if you want more information, if you feel like I haven't covered something that you want to know more about.
Okay. Well, there's no sin in ending early if people have no other questions or comments. How about Ruth? Anything from our board member representative? She just put LOL in the chat. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Go.
All right. Well, look for future LunchBox opportunities. The way NARI does these is when there's a good topic, it'll get scheduled. So that means there's not always a lunch hour. NARI is doing so many things. Ruth, do you want to promote anything else that NARI is doing at this point? Okay, I think she's
Yeah.
already said thanks and signed off.
No, I'm still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
The golf tournament's coming up, so don't forget about that. Any,
August 20th, right?
yeah, I think so. Look out, we've got the Saints game on the 16th or 17th, that Tuesday in August. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple people here that were at last night's brouhaha, and it was just so good to see everybody. So yeah, we're getting back to normal, and you know, the tours and the shows and that are going to start coming back up. I'm on that committee, so that's what brought me here today. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's do what you can when you can, and we'll hopefully see everybody soon again.
That's right.
Yeah. Good. Nice to see you, Lori.
Yeah, likewise, Margot.
We miss you at the committee meetings.
I know.
I think there's one coming up in a couple months.
Oh, well, yeah, hopefully.
After your tour, I believe we said it. So. Good luck with that and break a leg, right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I hope to see you on tour. You know, maybe you can pop out and just enjoy some of the homes.
Yeah, yeah. I really appreciated you know, all the effort that you put into the 2020 tour. I have to admit that well, let's see. I guess you haven't had one since then. So-
We haven't. This is our through the pandemic, that was something else.
Right, right. Yeah,
An event in August of last year was unheard of.
right.
But we did it and it was successful. And so we're poised for another beautiful tour. Really kind of some fun elements this year.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. With that, I'm going to close the meeting.
Okay. Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Bye.